So where are we as time? Okay, we're good. We're ahead of time. This is great. All right. So the next, we want to hear from Gary, our monthly chat from Gary.
Can everybody hear me? Steve, more important to hear me than see me. Hey, Steve, I want to thank you for coming up with that Kavanaugh quote. That is a classic, and everyone should read Steve's statement in the newsletter. And I think what the Kavanaugh quote does is each month we should submit something stupid that a Republican said, and we can kind of vote on which was the most outrageous comment by him. To save time, I won't read the Kavanaugh statement, but this will give you incentive to read Steve's comment. It's been quite a contrast watching on TV the trial of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd and remembering the Capitol Police and the other law enforcement officers defending the Congress on January 6th, and most recently a Capitol Police officer stabbed to death, all in the line of duty. You have Chauvin, the rogue cop, and you have Capitol Police officers injured and killed in the line of duty, doing their job of protecting public officials, including Republicans. I thought using the term defund the police was a very poor choice of words. That term managed to enrage the far right and alienate many folks who acknowledge we have a serious problem with some of our police officers and need to make significant changes. The House of Representatives on March 3rd passed the George Floyd Justice Policing Act. The bill would create a new national standard for policing and tie federal funding to police departments who follow these policies. Among other things, it would ban chokeholds. It would end racial and religious profiling. It would end qualified immunity and establish a national database to track police misconduct. In response to this bill passing, our own Representative Andy Biggs was one of 12 Republicans who voted against awarding the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest civilian honors, to Capitol and Metropolitan Police officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th. In explaining his vote, Biggs said they, Democrats, were just trying to cover up a political sin they made, I assume referring to the George Floyd Justice Policing Act. As far as I know, all those voter suppression bills are moving along in the legislature, thanks to Republicans holding that razor-thin margin in the House and the Senate. Unless some Republicans stand up and vote against those bills, they will land on Governor Ducey's desk for signing into law. Ducey, as you recall, praised Arizona's voter system in last November. He pointed out that Arizona has had voting by mail for 30 years and one of the safest and fairest election systems in the nation. But at a recent press conference in March, Ducey said in reference to the Republican election bills in the legislature, we should never delude ourselves that we're perfect or we are no longer in need of improvement. Political ambition will likely trump doing the right thing and vetoing these bills. As you might recall, State Senator J.D. Mesnard from Chandler has proposed SB 1783, which will cut an estimated $500 million from the $800 million that Proposition 208 was projected to support public schools. Mesnard's bill would create a new taxing classification to help lower the taxes on the state's wealthiest small business owners. Mesnard claims his bill is not meant to cut Proposition 208, but to merely help small businesses. Right. Even the conservative Arizona Republic columnist Robert Robb referred to Mesnard's bill as a clever gutting of Proposition 208. I don't think Senate Bill 1457 has received the attention it deserves, and that bill is moving along in the legislature. SB 1457 is an anti-abortion bill that, among other things, would criminalize doctors providing abortion care, allow a married partner or grandparents to sue a pregnant person having an abortion, criminalize anyone seeking an abortion for fetal diagnosis reasons, and change statutory language on abortion throughout the state. I believe with the 3 conservative Supreme Court justices Trump appointed has emboldened anti-abortion advocates as they seek to overturn Roe versus Wade. So what you see is a Republican assault on our right to vote, undermine the will of voters who want to see more public funding to educate public education, and criminalize reproductive health care. We deserve better from our elected officials. We need to keep working to educate voters about what is going on and hold Republican legislators accountable. Thanks very much. I got it in there in 5 minutes, Steve.
That was perfect. Thank you, Gary.
You bet.
We appreciate those words, and I kind of just want to echo the fact that, you know, I wrote this in my newsletter, but there was a while there where I kind of felt like I could let down and breathe a little easier, and kind of, you know, we have somebody new and at the helm and in our administration in the federal government, so it felt like you can take a breath. But with all the stuff that's been going on in the state legislature right now, it's apparent that we definitely can't. I mean, we can't sleep on this stuff. And I just want to thank a lot of the people that have really stepped up and have been really advocating. And we have some advocates here. I know Suzanne's been advocating as far as on the guns issue. I know that Laura's been doing a ton of work, which I'm very thankful for. Laura actually delivered all of the Pebble signs for, I don't know, the East Valley and more. So, and I'll just bring that up now. I was going to bring it up in later business, but I have at my doorstep, I have Pebble signs that you can put in your yard. And I've also got some car magnets that you can put on your car. I'm leaving those on my doorstep, so you can come pick it up at any time. Feel free to ring the bell. Eric did, and I was in the shower, so I missed Eric. But anybody else who wants to come pick some up, please feel free. They'll be sitting right out there. So with that,
Yeah, I just got for the I just got some Pebble signs from Sierra Club today. I have 25. So you know what? You give me an idea. I'll also put them on my doorstep and do the same thing. And I'll put my address in chat. So if anyone wants one,
I'll put mine as well here. Once we'll get this election going, and then I'll put mine in as well. That sounds great. Thanks, Stormy. Those are getting around, those signs. I saw even Jennifer Pawlik wearing one on her shirt. So, okay. Without further ado,
very cool.
Without further ado, I want to get this election moving. It's very important. This election is for first vice chair of our board and our organization. And we've had some amazing people step up. Nick, like I said, he was going to run and had to step out the last minute. But we also have Eric Butler, and we have Cody Newcomb running for first vice chair. And I just want to say, I don't know when the last time we had an actual contested election in our district. It's been a while. I can't really remember it, but I'm just so thankful that both of them stepped up, because that's how, first of all, that's how we get our best people. Unfortunately, in this case, we have two great people. So it's going to be so hard to decide, but you'll get to hear from the candidates, and then you can make your own decision. And just so everybody knows, only PCs can vote. I'm sorry if you're on the call and you can't really participate in this part of the process, but what I would say is, if you become a PC, you can, and you can actually serve on our board as well. So that's just a little enticement to become a PC if you haven't already. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Carol. Carol's going to run the election because she's run many, many, many before. And Jeannie's there to help us. So we're in very good hands, and I'm going to toss it over to Carol and Jeannie both.
Okay. Hopefully, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we are going to have an election tonight, and as Steve mentioned, only appointed and elected PCs can vote. The names of those people who are recognized to vote have been provided to Jeannie Lund, who is on the call tonight. She's going to be recording the votes, so when we get ready to vote, she will be recording the votes. You will have the opportunity to vote if you are not an elected or appointed PC. If you try and vote, your vote will not get registered. So just understand that. We will allow 5 minutes after we have closed the floor to get your votes put in, and then hopefully after that 5 minutes, since we only have 2 candidates running, we should be able then to get you an answer as to who has won that position. And tonight, the position that we are electing is the first vice chair. This is due to a vacancy due to resignation. The first vice chair's responsibility is to provide backup to the chair. So if for any reason the chair cannot do their duties, whether it's due to illness or they are moving and they're leaving the district or whatever it may be, the first vice chair is responsible for stepping in and taking over until an election can be had to officially make that position as chair official. So again, that's the responsibility, and also as first vice chair, they have to fulfill any duties they've been assigned by the chair. So that's the position. What we're going to do here in a moment is I'm going to open up the floor for nominations, and nominations can be made. We have our 2 candidates who have already declared, Eric Butler and Cody Newcomb, but it is available for floor nominations. So that means that we will call 3 times for nominations. At the end of 3 times calling for nominations, if there are no other people who have stepped forth to run, then we will move to close nominations. So with that in mind, we have declared candidates, and again, we have the option to have people nominate from the floor. Everybody would need a second, and we also will validate that the people nominated are willing to serve. So no sandbagging anybody, okay? So, all right. Any questions on what we're going to do here? Okay, I'm taking silence as none. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is now open the floor for nominations for first vice chair of LD 17. Do I have any nominations?
I would like to nominate Cody.
All right, and I'm sorry, I can't see on the photo who was that.
That was AJ.
AJ, okay. All right, do I have a second for that nomination?
Yeah, I'm seconding his nomination.
Okay, and Cody, are you willing to serve?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. We're going to get the nominations first, then those people that are nominating can give a 1-minute speech. All right, do I have any other nominations for first vice chair?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Eric Butler,
All right, and who is that?
That was Alan.
Alan Carlson.
Okay, thanks, Alan. All right,
You're
do I
welcome.
have a second for Eric's nomination?
I second it.
Okay, Monroe.
And Gary seconded as well. So
Okay, all right. So Deb, hopefully you're catching all of that. Okay, and Eric, are you willing to serve?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. Do I have any other nominations for first vice chair of LD 17? Do I have any other nominations for first vice chair of LD 17? Do I have any other nominations for the first vice chair of LD 17? Hearing none and having declared it available 3 times, do I have a motion from the floor to close nominations?
Close nominations. This is
Okay.
AJ.
AJ, and a second? Helen? Okay, so nominations are now closed. So we have the 2 candidates that have been nominated, Eric and Cody. Whoever is your nominee, okay, let's start with Cody. He was the first to be nominated. So AJ, would you like to go ahead and give a 1-minute speech for your nomination of Cody?
Thank you, Carol. It is my privilege, it is an honor for me to nominate Cody Newcomb for the first vice chair of our LD 17 Democratic Party. I met Cody, I believe more than a year and a half ago, actually his whole family, while I was knocking on their door when we were collecting signatures. And his interest, his knowledge and passion was remarkable by then. And his work right now in our outreach committee is, shall I say, top notch. And I am certain that he will do a great job as our first vice chair with his knowledge, enthusiasm, and passion.
Okay, thank you. All right, and Cody, as a nominee, you have 2 minutes to tell us about yourself and why you want to run for this position and what you feel you bring to the position.
Okay. Does it start now?
Yes.
All right. I'm running because, you know, I'm a 26-year-old with a disability, and I'm just mad about politics because people like me are underrepresented. And I don't think it's anything to do with party lines. It's just the way society has been. You know, with the pandemic, it finally put things into a clear perspective for me of what I want to do. I advocate for myself daily, but I know so many people that aren't able to because they're not as educated or they just don't know. I view it as, you know, I can't work a normal job. I can't do things people normally do, but I'm able to serve. And if I can serve for people that need advocacy, just like me, other communities that need advocacy that, you know, don't deal with the same issues as me, they matter. That's why I enjoy being on with Legislative District 17. I'm able to work well with the people here, and I enjoy my time, and I feel respected. And I want to be able to support my community and be supported by my community. And as first vice chair, I think I would be able to bring in the disabled community and many other loyal, politically gifted people.
Thank you very much, Cody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll go to the nomination for Eric and Ellen. You have 1 minute to provide us your nomination speech.
Thank you. Yes, I'm honored to nominate Eric Butler. I first met him during the last election, and he helped put up signs. We did quite a bit of work together. I know that Eric is a hard worker, and that he wants to do a lot more. I know that he was very involved in lit drops and just very active. And I think he's a great candidate. And you know, I think part of what we want to do is build leadership in the future. And I think he's also a good candidate for future leadership. Thank you.
All right. And Eric, you have 2 minutes to talk about your candidacy and why we should vote for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much, Alan and Cody. I'm honored to be a candidate for the position. This is an exciting time for Democrats and the progressive movement. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. LD 17 is a district on the move, and it's time for us to be aggressive and to show the world that we mean business. Let's get involved in our community. Let's volunteer. Let's march and attend rallies. Let's show our support for the causes we hold dear. And let's work hard to support and elect our candidates. All eyes will be on our district as we enter the new year. We could be the district that helps flip our legislature blue. You're going to hear this many times from me. Time for us to run a full slate of candidates this next election. Electing and re-electing Representative Pawlik has proven that our district has changed. So I say, why not? But it's not just about the election. It's about issues that are important to our community today, from gay rights to workers' rights to voters' rights, to teachers in our public schools. These issues are under assault from a party out of control, and we need to show them the door. I witnessed the enthusiasm of our community during last fall's elections, and I want that to continue. With strong leadership, planning, and good communication, there's simply nothing we can't do when we do it together. We can prove to the world that through hard work and a solid ground game, you can flip a once deep district, a deep red district, blue. Can you imagine the possibilities? What I promise to bring to our board is vision, ideas, and my ability to organize and to bring people together. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to work with each of you to take our district to new heights. I'm excited about what's to come, and I humbly ask for your vote. As I said to you at our first meeting together, I'm here.
That's 2 minutes, sir. Thank you.
And if you don't mind me quoting the great John Lewis, I'm looking forward to getting into some good trouble. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. Okay. So at this point, we've heard from the candidates. You've been able to know what they are running for and their platforms or whatever they think they bring to the office. So at this point, I will take a motion to close or to move to the vote. So do I have a motion to move to the vote? Okay, thank you, Howard. And a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, it was going to be a very, very hard decision between you two. And I also just want to make it very known that Cody, you know, you didn't get that election this first time, but I know that there's going to be other elections in your future and you are going to get those. And we value your opinion regardless of whether you're on the board. So thank you so much for running. And Eric, thank you both. I think it's healthy for our organization. So very much appreciated.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Congrats,
Oh,
Eric. Thank you.
Wait, just real quick. I'm getting an urgent transmission from Senator Mesnard that we didn't photocopy any IDs and send them in. I don't know if that's
Don't worry, I have my
Holy
lawyer on already.
Okay. Well, no.
Let me know if you guys need an audit, okay?
Yeah, I just, again, thank you, Jeannie, for doing that. We couldn't have done it without you, so very much appreciated.
Always a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Okay, thanks, Jeannie. Okay, well, now that's over. Moving right along. Congratulations, Eric. I'm looking forward to working with you. And Carol, you're still on the hook.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will move right along with our speakers. And I think most of them have been with us before, but I will just remind everybody that when I introduced you, I will also mention how much time you have and that Monroe is our timekeeper. So please make sure you pay attention to his little screen because he will give you a indication of when you're beginning to use up the end of your time. And that is when we will have to, curtail any further comments you might have or questions we can take. So tonight we're going to lead off with our own Representative Jennifer Pawlik. I don't know that she needs any more introduction than just those words. She's been working hard at the legislature, and I'm going to allow her plenty of time to talk about what is going on down there with things still to come, things that have gone to the governor's desk, and if there's any hope that we can do to maybe stop some of the stuff that hasn't already gotten to his desk. So Jennifer, take it away. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Carol. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you tonight. I'm going to jump right in because there's so much to talk about. I can't even believe how much has happened in the last month since we met. I'm going to start by talking about voter suppression bills, the big, bad, ugly ones, because we have a whole bunch. I'm sure you've read in the newspaper and online that we are neck and neck with Georgia as far as introducing the most voter suppression bills. So 3 that I want you to be sure that you are aware of include Senate Bill 1485, and that is the Pebble Purge is what we're calling it. So essentially, if you do not vote in 4 elections, you will be removed from the early voter list. And we went round and round with the sponsor, Senator Ugenti Rita, in committee, and she's contending that it's not really 4 elections, that it's 1 in 4. But anyway, you can read the bill, you can look it up, and you can see truly this is not a good idea. The next bill, election bill, that I want to bring up is Senate Bill 1713. And this one is a Mesnard bill. And what it would require of those people who vote by mail is, in addition to your signature, you would have to write your birth date and either your driver's license number or your voter ID number on the envelope. And we are concerned that that is too much information on an envelope, that you're giving away way too much of your privacy by doing so. So this is the bill that started out where you had to photocopy your driver's license. He's changed it, so now this is where it is. And then the third voter suppression bill that I want you to be aware of is also a Mesnard bill, and it's Senate Bill 1106. This one is having to do with residency and your intent to remain in Arizona. So what this one would do is basically, if you are not voting for 2 years, you're removed from the active voter list. So testimony in committee was very interesting on this one, because we talked about military members and they would not be impacted because they fall under another part of law. But we had quite a conversation about the missionaries who are serving for 18 months to 2 years. They could be purged from the list. If someone is a winter visitor, they could be purged from the list. So there were a lot of different areas where somebody could be purged. The other piece of this bill that's noteworthy is if you help someone vote. For instance, if your college student is in another state and you mail them their ballot because they live at your house, their mail comes to your house, you could be eligible for a Class 5 felony. So we think that that's really awful. All 3 of those seem to still be moving. The weird part is on Thursday, Senate Bill 1485 was on the Cal calendar. We were in the middle of debate. I kid you not, I pushed my button to speak. I had my notes ready to go. And they called on the speaker and he did a substitute motion and he tabled the bill. Does that mean it's dead? No. Nothing is dead until sine die, but it was a hopeful fraction of a moment, and we just have to kind of wait to see what's going on. It's too late to use the request to speak. So if any of these bills speak to you, send an email, please. And you can send it to all 3 of us, Wenninger, Mesnard, and me. Now, when it comes to the bad bills in education, what is so curious, but at the same time wonderful, is we haven't heard the really bad bills in the Education Committee. And we can read between the lines on that, but the bills have mostly been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee and some to the Transportation Committee. So I have 4 bills I want to call to your attention here. The first one, Gary has already talked about. It was Senate Bill 1783, and that's Mesnard's bill dealing with Proposition 208. So it would cut the funding that the schools are expecting to receive through that surcharge. The next is Senate Bill 1452, and that has to do with expanding the ESAs or the vouchers. Interestingly, I have not had many emails from people who live in our district for or against this bill. I've mostly heard from people who are not in this district. The third education bill that I want to call to your attention is House Bill 2427. If you look this one up, it is a strike everything bill. So remember, that means they strike the language of the original bill and they put new language on. And the new language does not have to be germane to the underlying bill. This bill deals with transportation, and it would allow families to get grants of $80 per month to pay for driving their kid to school. And where I have a real problem with this is the charter schools already get transportation funding through charter additional assistance. The district schools have a line item for transportation. So everybody's already getting funding for transportation. We could use the $10 million on this bill for something else. The next and final education bill that I'll call to your attention is House Bill 2125. And this bill is also a strike everything bill. This bill has to do with the school boundaries. So if you live in a neighborhood, or maybe 20 years ago, you bought your house in a neighborhood and there was a school in the neighborhood, you anticipate your kids will walk to school and that will be their school. This bill will do away with that. Your kid will be able to stay somewhere in the district. The child will be guaranteed a seat in the district, but not necessarily in your neighborhood. And they're saying that that is equalizing things and making district schools be on par with charter schools. So that's another one that I am strongly opposed to. And there are more, but I just thought I would start with those four. Gary also mentioned the abortion bill, Senate Bill 1457. That one you need to know they are voting on tomorrow in the Senate. So tonight is your last chance to email Senator Mesnard, or perhaps a more friendly senator to your cause could be Senator Bowie. And you could say, I live in 17, please represent me on this issue. So those are the bills that I wanted to call to your attention. We are done with our committee hearings. So that's the reason that the request to speak is not active any longer. Now what we're doing is, as far as order of operations, we have to hear a bill in caucus, and then we may hear the bill in the COW or Committee of the Whole. And remember, that's where we debate the bill. We can add amendments to the bill at that time. Once the bill has gone through the COW, the last step is the third read or the vote. So that's what you're starting to see. Now, what we've heard is two different scenarios may be happening. The first is that they're going to trickle the bills out to us, where we might be hearing 3 to 5 bills every single day between now and June. The other scenario is that we're going to break through. We're going to hear all of the remaining bills in a short period of time, and then we'll recess until the end of May or beginning of June. I'm sorry?
1 minute remaining, please.
Thank you. Thank you. So know that the budget is coming, but it may not be here for a very long time. I would encourage you, if you're on social media, to like and share different posts to spread the audience. If you are able, it would be super if you could make a donation to the campaign. I realize it's early, but we've got to start building the funds so we can fight in 2022. And then last of all, could you show me your hand if you are willing right now, not tonight, but in the next couple of weeks, to actually start knocking doors again? Will you raise your hand? Okay, good. So I need to update my literature and then I'll let you know. And last but not least, we have the school supply drive that's coming up for our city, Chandler. So I will get all that information compiled. We're going to sponsor 100 backpacks like we've done, I think now for 5 years. I'll get that information out to you as well. And I have to stop there, but definitely know that you can reach out anytime. And if you want to meet me for coffee and we can chit chat, let me know. I'm happy to do that. I have both vaccines. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Jennifer. And again, thank you for representing us down there and at least having some opportunity to have our voice heard. I know it's a lonely place and we're going to do everything we can this next cycle to make sure it's not as lonely the next time around. So Okay, with that, then we're going to move on to Odie Harris is the Chandler City Council representative. And we've asked Odie to give us a 5-minute update on what is happening for all our Chandler residents at the City Council. So Odie, if you would like to take it away, and Watch Monroe, he will give you 5 minutes. And depending on how we're running, we might be able to get in a question or two.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Getting right into it. As you know, I've already posted this on my social media, is that I've introduced an ordinance to put forth. I put forth the foundational work for a non-discriminatory ordinance for us to look to get passed in Chandler, and I am super excited about it. We are currently, the status where we are right now, we're still drafting it up, to fit Chandler. And I was using other ordinances to kind of help lay out some of that groundwork. So we are currently drafting it right now. And the council, there's mixed feelings about the ordinance. And so as it gets closer to draft form, I look forward to support because we need this non-discriminatory ordinance in Chandler. Also, as you guys know, the big announcement of Intel coming to Chandler, which is going to provide 2 more semiconductor plants to Chandler, which is going to be 3,000 jobs and 3,000 high-paying jobs at $100,000 plus. And the totality of jobs that is going to bring in this region is close to 15,000 jobs associated with it. And as you guys know, Honeywell will be coming here as well, and that's going to produce more high-paying jobs, as well as you guys know Northrop Grumman, who just received a contract with the government to do counter missile development. So we're developing missiles in Chandler, I guess, at this point. And so that's to help with security for our country. Also, as you guys know, we have a lot of jobs available in Chandler right now, especially in the hotel industry. Thousands of jobs. Walgreens are looking for people to work as well. And so that's going to be a big thing. So I'm hoping that we can get some more support with Jennifer help and others help for transportation, because that seems to be the issue that we're facing right now that's causing a lot of people hesitation about what we can do. Also, last night, I want to just share this, and you guys go back and look it up. But last night, I feel like the council delivered a devastating blow to our marginalized community who's in public housing, as they made stricter policies. They voted on stricter policies for housing. So now you can only be late up to 4 times in our housing development, versus before it was 6 times. And there was no data to really support why we're changing. So basically, 3 strikes, you're out. Once you get your last late and then you get into that 4th late, you're done. And as we know federally, that's a devastating blow, because once you get kicked out of our public housing in Chandler, you're basically screwed in the whole entire nation. And I'm going to be working more closely to have further conversation about how we can increase that number so we're not, at that place. They're saying that no one's been kicked out, but it's not. The fact is, why are we making stricter policies during a pandemic? And why are we making stricter housing about people who are in such need of that? And so, as you guys know, I did the Stop the Asian Hate rally. That was great. That was 400 people came out to that. We got some big votes that's going to be happening on this Thursday. The first vote will be about photo enforcement. The contract has come up for renewal. And for those that are interested and have passionate conversation about it, it's important for me to hear that conversation, because on Thursday, we're going to be voting to either continue the contract about photo enforcement, or we're going to be voting to take it down in Chandler. There will be levels of conversation about that there. Also, there will be on Thursday, there will be a conversation about policing in Chandler in terms of, how much more police officers we do need and things of that nature. So there's going to be a presentation around that as well. As you guys know, we are still looking for a city manager right now. Joshua Wright is the acting city manager right now, but we are currently looking for a city manager, and the brochure should be coming out really soon. There were some updates that needed to be included, and I wanted to make sure that we have the words diversity, equity, and inclusion in that brochure, because I think that's important. Lastly, there was a 3.7% surplus in property values in Chandler, so that went up. And then also we're currently in a surplus of close to $40 million, and then we're about to receive $38 million more from and one-time dollars because of the pandemic and the money. And then we're still waiting. We're still waiting to hear back because the cities around the nation is going to be getting dollars from the opioids crisis. And those dollars, we're still waiting for exactly what that distribution is going to look like, but we're in the mix, and Chandler will be getting dollars for that. So April 26th, and this is my last announcement, I'll stop talking. April 26th, I am doing a roundtable for the youth. After you guys have heard, there's been some rumbling around Chandler about some things that has happened. Some people have passed on. Then you heard about there was an issue at the Chandler Mall where there was kids and there was some stabbing things going on. And so that prompted me to have a roundtable conversation about at-risk youth. I would like to see some of our one-time dollars that we do have available to get pushed forward towards that, towards the youth. So I am going to be having a roundtable conversation on April 26th with the Boys and Girls Club from 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be invite only. So if you're really interested and want to be a part of that conversation, I did invite key leaders in that youth area to have conversations. So, I would like to open it up so that way if you guys see there is a conversation you would like to be a part of, would love to do it. Mostly it's going to be people at higher levels having a conversation, but it would be great to get more insight. Other than that, I think that's all the 5 minutes I got. That's all I can give you right now. I did put the Chandler that we're still allowing for people who need rental assistance and help. Please make sure that you call if you are behind on your Chandler utility bill. We do have funds to help you pay for it, but if you don't reach out to us, then we can't apply those funds to it. But remember, on May 6th, May 5th, they're going to start actively shutting people's utilities off in May. And right now we have the dollars to take care of it, but if you don't request it, then we won't be able to just arbitrarily, allocate those dollars there. So there's a lot going on. I know that's probably all my 5 minutes I have, but hopefully I covered enough information in that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Odie. You've had plenty of information to give us. So if anyone is interested, that's what the chat box is available for. So you reach out to Odie if you have a question on anything that he may have presented. I believe you're going to stay with us for a little bit longer, so maybe you can answer any questions there, Odie. Okay. And again, thank you so much for your service to the Chandler residents. Greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now we're going to have our own AJ, who is going to be talking for 5 minutes on any updates about the Independent Redistricting Commission. And I know that there has been some other developments since we spoke last. So AJ, 5 minutes, watch Monroe.
Here we go. Thank you, Carol. I'll start my timer here for you. Boom. Hello, everyone. My name is Kurdoglu. You can call me AJ, and I will give you updates about the work that Arizona Redistricting Commission and the process. And as you know, in Arizona, we have an independent commission whose mission is to draw congressional and legislative district maps based on the certain important criteria that you see on your screen, starting from compliance to Voting Rights Act to the competitiveness. Our Arizona Independent Redistricting Commission consists of 5 members. Chair is the independent Erica Newberg, and then we have 4 appointed commissioners. You see their name out there. And what happened since we see each other last March? Well, they got together 4 times on Tuesdays as usual. And the most important part, they hired an executive director. IRC hired its director after interviewing 5 candidates, 3 Republicans, 1 Democrat, 1 independent. And this hiring process, the observers generally said that it was a confusing process. It wasn't well thought of, and it wasn't clearly explained to and understood by by the commissioners. At the end, they decided on Brian Schmidt, and he already accepted. He started the job actually yesterday. Brian Schmidt is a Republican operative with the least amount of experience on redistricting and managing a state office with this kind of importance and budget. This hire, this decision actually received a lot of criticism from the Democratic circles, especially after that it came light that Brian didn't put his resume, the $60,000 work that he did for McSally event before the last election. And then actually they were on to hiring a legal counsel. Today, IRC interviewed 4 law firms to counsel them, to help them navigate the laws and represent them on most certainly upcoming lawsuits. Actually, all 4 law firms mentioned that no matter what you do, you will get sued. So their decision, the commission's decision, needs to stand to legal scrutiny. And a couple of hours earlier today, after an 8 hours meeting, it was so fun to watch that, they hired Ballard Spare and Snell Wilmer as their legal counsel. A good news, actually, as I mentioned last time, there is a delay on data from the Census Bureau to the states. The necessary data with an easy-to-use format will arrive still 6 months delay at the end of September. But the good news is data will be available to the state in an older format. Don't ask me what it is. Maybe in August, which will help IRC to start sooner than later, and maybe they can finish the rough maps earlier this year. We shall see. Quick observation. I see some red flags. I'm looking at you, Republican commissioners, because some comments they made gave the impression that they are approaching this much more than a partisan way than their Democratic counterparts. One example is that they downgraded a candidate's experience with Maricopa Recorder's Office by labeling their job in 2020 being controversial, even though we all know that the Recorder's Office did a wonderful job in last election. Another example is Commissioner York's comment about he is out there to represent the faction rather than the whole state of Arizona. And it was that happened last week, and this week's meeting, chair kind of felt the need to explain about this comment. And what you can do, please get ready to testify on communities of interest, send your commentary to IRC, and follow at Redistrict Arizona. That's the group that I'm following, this Indivisible Arizona Redistricting team, to further issues. And if you have any question, my email out there, ajlan@voteforaj.com. And I thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. Under 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, AJ, for doing that and keeping us up to date on it. And as we have said before, it is going to be so crucial for us to make sure we pay attention, especially as we get into this next critical part, which is where they will get the data and start making the district lines and presenting that. And we have to speak up, because that's the only way we can beat it back, whatever they may decide. So, contact AJ if you have questions, stay involved with whatever is available out there, and we will keep having AJ give us updates on every opportunity we have a meeting. So it's important that you speak up at this point in time and just keep yourself aware of what's going on. So, and I think our last speaker is on tonight. We have Mark Robert Gordon, who is going to be here as representative from the DNC, or the Democratic National Committee. Arizona as a state and as a Democratic Party has representation on the DNC, and Mark Robert Gordon is one of our elected representatives to that body, and he is going to have 5 minutes to bring us up to date on what's going on with the RNC. Mark, are you on?
Yes, but I think you just said RNC. You meant DNC at the last time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can tell you what's going on at the RNC. It's not very pleasant.
We all know what's going on and it isn't good,
No.
so.
Kind of like the
Anyway, thank you for
legislature.
correcting me. All
Kind
right,
of
and
like
just
the
watch
legislature.
Monroe. Monroe is keeping time for you.
Okay, I don't see. That's okay. I'll just.
Monroe Copeland.
I'll
Yeah.
speak loudly.
Okay, I'm sure you will. Thank you. Hello, LD17. I'm sorry it's been so long since we last saw one another, and I'm looking forward to coming back and giving you periodic reports on activities at the DNC, as well as just to visit and hopefully someday soon in person. I do miss so many of these faces that I'm seeing on the screen right now. Good to see you. Just to be clear, the DNC is not only not the RNC, the Republican National Committee, the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, is not the DSCC nor the DCCC, the DCCC. Those are the congressional and the Senate campaign committees to specifically elect members of those two bodies, the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. The DNC is the national party. And during this time when we have a Democratic president and when the president has opted in, it is the political arm for the White House. So that is what the DNC is. It is the parent organization for all the states and territories that have their own state and territory Democratic parties, on down to county parties, on down to local parties. And Arizona, as Carol mentioned, Arizona has 3 permanent slots on the DNC, plus its state chair and its first vice chair. So the 3 representatives are me, Luis Heredia, who's in, I believe, his 4th term, and Debbie Nez Manuel. And we began a 4-year term the day after the Democratic Convention in August. And then we are joined for a 2-year term, as opposed to the 4-year term, by the state party chair, Raquel Turan, and by our first vice chair, Paul Stapleton Smith. If they choose to run again for those jobs and are reelected, then they will automatically serve on the DNC as well. In the past, we've had up to, I think, 8 or 9 members because there are additional, 8 or 9 members because there are additional members that are at the discretion of the national DNC chair to appoint. And last round, we actually had a few people that were appointed. Plus, there are certain government entities, the Democratic Association of Secretaries of State, the Democratic Governors Association, the Democratic County Government Association, which pick members of their chair and becomes automatically ex-official members of the DNC. So we had an extra member last cycle as well of the DNC from Arizona. So our job is to really represent the Democratic Party and to bring resources back to the state of Arizona. Arizona, no surprise to anybody here, picked up national attention after years of being close to victory. The fact that we did turn the map blue for President Biden will be helpful moving forward for resources coming to the state and to the state parties, county parties, and just getting our candidates elected. Likewise, the fact that we've elected 2 Democratic U.S. senators for the first time since 1952, that we've had 2 Democratic U.S. senators, that should bring resources back to the state as well. This cycle, having Mark Kelly up for his actual election to a full term in 2022, plus what is expected to be a competitive governor's race for an open seat, should lead to more resources coming to Arizona. That said, your membership your representatives on the DNC are not wallflowers. We are fighting for resources. And one of the first things that we have done here, I was asked by the DNC chair of the Small Business Council to create a state business council. Ours is the #1 state on their target list that did not have a state business council. So the state party has taken up the idea of creating one. We put it out to the state committee membership and sent out some emails, and faster than any other group, we have come up with support to create a council here in Arizona. I already heard the warning, I think, that my time is up. So I will tell you 1 minute. Okay. I will tell you a little bit more about that and the disability council work that I'm doing at the DNC, really tying my voting rights interests that many of you are aware of with my interest as a person with disabilities in tying these anti-voting rights bills and specifying the message about how it is really hurting people with disabilities as much as anything else. And so I will report on both of those next time for the 5 minutes I'm allotted. I thank you for having me, and I look forward to staying in touch with you about things happening at the national party so that I can represent you and so that I can help bring resources back here to Arizona. I'm going to put my contact information into the chat. Feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you, LD17.
Thank you, Mark. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And if any of you have any specific questions for Mark, put it in the chat. I'm sorry we're running a little late on time because of the election we had, but he'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Just put it in the chat. And we will have Mark back on a monthly basis as well going forward so that we have a better connection to the party and understand from the White House on down to our state party what's going on. So.
Thank you
All
for having
right,
me.
Steve, it's all yours. Our speaker program has concluded.
Well, good. Hey, we're actually running on great time. Thank you,
Okay.
Monroe. So I didn't leave a lot of business to talk about because I knew we would probably be running late. So I'm glad I have a little bit of time here. What I'd really like to cover, we've had a lot of people step up for our different committees. And Sheldon, do we have a list of those committees that we can show again? Or Eshe? Well, while we're working on that, there we go. I knew that they'd have it. I knew it. So these are our committees that we are working with at the moment. And I invite any of you, if you haven't stepped up for any of these committees and any of these sound interesting, and by the way, if you go to the website, I think it'll give a little bit more explanation as to what these committees entail. Pretty much they're pretty self-explanatory. I'm leading up the voter registration and outreach committee myself. And to date, I've only had a couple people step up for that particular committee. So we haven't really moved that one forward, which I'd really like to do this month and get that one going. Carol and Laura are actually both on the PC Recruitment and Engagement Committee. And I'm not sure if anybody wants to speak up about their own individual committees, please feel free to do so. Carol, is there anything on the PC and Recruitment and Engagement Committee?
Well, that's under Deb. I'm under I'm under data management and field operations with
sorry
Laura.
about that.
No, that's okay. So ask Deb.
Deb, is there anything?
Okay. I honestly do not have anything at this time. I have been making phone calls, wanting individuals to, get engaged with me, to work on the committee. I've got a couple of people interested, but they haven't really confirmed yet. But I do need some help. It's actually more in the social realm. It's also in the training of PCs. And I seriously am learning about the training myself and hoping to get all of that put together. So I don't need people who know, what anything about it in advance. We can learn together, but it would be good to have some help with phone calls, getting people, signed up, the trainings that we'll have and so forth. So we'd love to hear from folks. And I believe my number is on the website along with the committee assignment.
Great. And one thing, I'm helping Deb put together a list right now. We actually have a new designation in the van, which basically shows everybody that's not a part of our LD17 organization that volunteered specifically with Mark Kelly's campaign last time. So I'm going to put together a phone bank for Deb, and then maybe we can get some other people to join us on that phone bank. So stay tuned for that. I'm pulling the list together as we speak. So that should be done, and we'll get that information out, and hopefully we'll have a phone bank that you can sign up for within the next couple of weeks, and we'll get that information out. Community outreach, that's AJ. AJ, do you want to say anything about community outreach?
Yes, I have a little note here. So I want to give my update. I'm very happy to announce that our community outreach committee is very, very popular. Very excited about it, still growing. We have more than 10 members, very diverse group of people, and they are very enthusiastic. I want to thank our executive board and our chair for this opportunity and their support. We already convened twice. Our third meeting is coming up Thursday. We're putting together how we're going to introduce our LD to these new groups and organization and how we're going to collaborate with them. This month, we are hoping to have our first outreach meeting, and we already identified a wide variety of organizations and groups. If you are interested, please reach out to me. New members are always welcome. And again, I want to thank the current members of their work: Laura, Cody, Travis, Roxy, Judy, Daniel, Monroe, Lisa, Tom, and our newest member, Eric. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, AJ. And for the next one, social media and communications, that's a huge one that we need to do a lot of work in. And we're actually looking at that and probably developing a much bigger budget than we've ever had for communications. And we're probably going to have a lot more paid communications in the community. So we're getting in front of more people. Sheldon, did you want to say anything about that?
I will.
Or actually, okay.
No problem. So Sheldon and I co-chair that committee, and we also have Suzanne on the committee. So together we comprise the social media and communications. We are looking for people who are interested in learning the technologies. So you don't have to know it all. We will certainly teach you. And if you haven't been paying attention, digital transformation is something that is a skill needed by many organizations. So it won't only help you with your volunteer work, it will help you in your other areas as well. So if you're looking to learn, please reach out. You don't have to be a guru. We will teach you, but we are interested in people who would like to support our social media efforts and outreach, who can also assist with the crafting of communications, and also making certain that we are, updating and maintaining the various digital properties that we have. So that would include our website. And again, you don't have to be a webmaster. There's a very easy front end that you can use. And so if any of those things interest you, and we could certainly use your help, please reach out to myself or Sheldon. Sheldon's contact information is in the chat under social media and communications.
Excellent. Thanks, Ashay. Okay, and next we'll go back to Carol for data management and field operations. Carol and Laura, is there anything that you'd like to?
Yeah, we'll have more information for the PCs at the next meeting. But one of the first things we want to do is start making some outreach using the van based upon Democrats who live in the neighborhoods where our PCs reside. We're going to have a letter that you can get mailed out to introduce yourself as the neighborhood PC. See if you can find some people that you can encourage a conversation with, and then maybe also whether they're a volunteer or a possible fellow PC, the more hands we can develop to engage with voters in your precincts, the better it will be when we get ready to run the campaigns next year. We're going to have a very condensed timeline for that. So we want to make sure we're reaching out now to find those people who would be interested. So Laura and I will be giving you more information, hopefully at the next meeting. And of course, along with that, we'll be working with Jennifer and her campaign outreach. So we have things coming up, so stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol.
Mhm.
And last but not least is fundraising, which I'm also going to be heavily involved in as well. Anthony, do you have anything to add on that? I don't know if we've done a lot of work there yet, but I know we need people to help.
We have
Fundraising is always difficult.
we have 3 volunteers so far. Nancy Saleya, Gary McGrath, and Linda Ziegman. We're going to have our kickoff meeting tomorrow, but we're still looking for additional volunteers for the committee. So just because we're getting started, don't be shy. Go ahead if you want to be engaged and be a part of this team. Go ahead and contact me, and we can use all the help we can get.
And Krista sent me a note. Krista wants to be involved in our fundraising team. So thank you very much, Krista. I appreciate that. Okay, so that's all the committees, but if there's anything here that strikes you as something that you might be interested in or you'd like to have some input in, please feel free to contact those that are leading the committees. I'd like to have some very robust committees as far as all of this is concerned. So we really would appreciate your help. I'm going to give the same message to our Democrats in Sun Lakes. I'm going to go there and ask for their help as well. So I'm guessing that these committees should be fully formed and running this month to full speed. And really, I'm looking forward to that because there's a lot of good work that's going to be done here. So that being said, calendar updates. We're getting close to the end here. Calendar updates. Thank you, Ashay. Here you go. These are the important dates as of right now. I also have another one that's really specific to the fundraising committee, and let me make a note because I'll send that to you, Anthony. There's an actual event coming up within the next couple weeks to talk about specifically fundraising for LDs. So I'll send that out as well. But these are important ones. So Sun Lakes is next week. That's next Monday. We have if you're still willing to volunteer at the food bank, we just had our event this past week. It was great. We actually sorted food. I think it turned out to be 4,600 pounds. Is that right? Of food? I can't remember, but it was enough to feed a lot of people, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So if you're interested in doing that, please go to the website and you can sign up for that. But like I said, it's a lot of fun, and I think we have 8 spots right now open. So feel free to go up there and sign up. Thirsty Thursday is on the 15th, which was tax day, but now it's not. And that's always fun. So please feel free to join us for that. And then back here on May 4th for our next meeting. So those are the pertinent dates right now. The other thing that I will say is I'll be getting together with Jennifer. I would love to set up an actual canvas in the next 3 weeks to get out there. For a lot of us that have had our vaccines, it doesn't feel as daunting as it once did. So I'm ready to knock on some doors again. I have my second shot is Friday, so I should be good to go. But I'm really excited to get back to talking to people again at their doors. We didn't have this chance during the election, and it felt really wrong. And so I'm excited to get back to doing that. So Jennifer, I will be getting in touch with you, and we'll set that up. So that's another thing that will be added to the calendar later. Okay, I think that's all I have, and we are at 8:29. So I think we paced this pretty well. And again, Eric, congratulations on joining the board. Really looking forward to working with you. And does anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
Yeah, I just had a quick announcement. So I'm putting a link in the chat. There is an event this Saturday evening at 5 p.m. Called Somos America, and it is about the grassroots movement that arose in the time that elapsed from the passage of SB 1070 and the activists who kind of helped lead the recall of Russell Pierce, and what they did in those 15 years to really help activate people it's a panel of those activists, and it's going to be interactive. So if you are able to make it, it's 5 p.m. It's virtual, and it's also free. You just have to register. So the link is in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I just want to say thank you, everyone. I want to thank Cody also. Cody and I have been talking offline. We have a really good group of people here, and I'm looking forward to continuing to get to know you all, and to just start organizing and getting out there. So I love the passion we have in our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay. And can I get a motion to adjourn? AJ. Second. Did I see Gary?
Second.
I saw Gary. All right. All. I guess I should vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Carol always gets me because I forget the vote. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming, and we really appreciate you, and hope to see you next month and on these other events that we have scheduled. All right. Take care, everybody.
Night.